welcome to the Future of Sports. My name is Nkiru Ballon, convener Africa Soft Power Project, which is focused on how the continent can optimize its creative industries, knowledge economy, and harness its soft power effectively to propel itself forward while championing the inclusion of African voices and the voices of the global Black community in global discourse. At this session on the Future of Sports, we'll be talking about the Basketball Africa League and how it could affect the growth of basketball on the continent. Should Africa have a super league for football? Should sports be compulsory in our schools? And how can we build the future for student athletes? We're joined by sports powerhouses, Victor Williams, Pops Mensah-Bonsu, Tunde Folawiyo, and Obinna Ekezie, and we're definitely looking forward to a rewarding time. Our moderator is a phenomenal Usher Komugisha, athlete, activist, writer, and football journalist. We're very happy to have her in the room with us today. Before we start, I'd like to say a huge thank you to our audience for being here today. And of course, a big thanks to our media partners and our strategic partners for supporting this event. Usher, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Kira. It's always a pleasure to be part of the Africa Soft Power series, and especially this one, that is talking about sports and, the future of sports. And what a panel we have here. Everyone is incredible. Like you said, Victor Williams is here. We have a lot of basketball to talk about, Pops, of course, and, the rest of the guys. Tunde Folawiyo, who is the chairman and CEO of the Yinka Folawiyo group. Pops Mensah, if you don't know Pops Mensah well, you may need to Google his name. Yeah, former NBA player. You're welcome to this panel. And obviously, we have Obinna Ekezie, who is the founder of Organized Basketball Network Academy. His CV is great, but also he was 37th pick in the 1999 NBA draft for the Vancouver Grizzlies, who are now the Memphis Grizzlies, by the way. Let me just start really with the Basketball Africa League. It's the talk of the town, and I'll start with you, Victor. As you can see, by the way, I'm at the Kigali Arena in the press conference room, trying to get the vibe going. Victor, what is the Basketball Africa League, and how different is that, with the NBA Africa, and where does it all come together?
So thanks, Usher, and good evening, everyone. Great to be here. So the Basketball Africa League is a joint collaboration between the NBA and FIBA, the Federation of International Basketball, and it is our initiative to raise the level of the game on the continent. So what it is a tournament that features 12 of the top club champions from around Africa. 6 countries are permanently represented in the BAL, and 6 countries had to qualify, but these are the best of the best club basketball teams on the continent. They come together to compete for the BAL championship. This year, because of COVID, we are hosting the tournament in a single site in Kigali, Rwanda. And that's where I'm speaking from now, as you are as well, Usher. All the teams are here and going through the process of quarantine, because we have strict health and safety protocols to guard against COVID. The first game will be on Sunday between Patriots from Rwanda. See, my power just went out, and Rivers Hoopers from Lagos. And over 2 weeks, the 12 teams will compete, and we will crown the champion on Sunday, May 30th, here in Kigali.
Wow. Look at that. So Pops, I'll come straight to you. You played in the NBA. Obviously, the brand that is the NBA is incredible. And now we're seeing players, on the African continent getting closer to that brand. I'm sure you saw the BAL social media platforms, showing how these players were excited, Air Police, who were the first to arrive, saying, c'est super, it's incredible, to be part of this and to see the merchandising, that is out there. Nike Nike is part of this, and all, you know, the Jordan Brand and all the other partners are on board. The NBA led the sports industry worldwide in terms of merchandising, you know, some time ago, you know, over the years. When you look at the African continent, how can we borrow that expertise, you know, to come into the African space, and not just for basketball, but for sports in general?
Well, I think, you know, with the Basketball Africa League, it allows every country on the continent to embrace another sport, another team. I know when they announced that the Basketball Africa League was going to happen in maybe 2018, if I'm not mistaken, Victor, I was right there. And the first thing I told, you know, the powers that be at NBA Africa was Ghana's going to have a team. And I said that because think about having a team, a sport other than basketball, other than soccer, that the players and the people of that country can latch onto. And as soon as I saw the merchandising, I said, as soon as I get to Rwanda, I'm buying every single one of those jerseys, and I'm going to wear them proudly, because for the longest, I could only wear a Chicago Bulls jersey or a Denver Nuggets jersey or Dikembe Mutombo and whatnot. But now I have the opportunity to get merchandising from a team from my homeland. And that's special, that brings pride, and it's going to allow us to allow the league to continually grow. So I think it's also history in the making. History in the making. That's why the players are so excited. I'm so excited. I wish I was a little younger. Otherwise, I would have definitely been suiting up and been a part of this. But again, just being there alone is going to be special to me. So I'm excited about it.
Well, Pops, I just need to let you know that the BAL is an inclusive event. You can come out of retirement. There's so many people around here starting to get ideas.
Be careful what you wish for.
Well, I'll go straight to Obinna. When you look at social media and how it is reshaping sports across the globe, where do you see that going, you know, from an African perspective, you know? Do you feel that it has a say in the way that sports is broadcast in Africa? Are we getting there? What do we need to do to be in that kind of conversation?
Well, we can't avoid social media today. I mean, social media is such a powerful platform. Now that I'm back, I would say actively in basketball. I mean, I left basketball to go run the business, but now I'm back here. I've been doing a lot of studying and researching about not only about the brands, you know, that play a key role in the development in the basketball world. Obviously, the NBA it cannot be compared to any other brand. Those of us that play in the NBA know the importance of the NBA. It's an extremely powerful brand. It's a brand that kind of, if you play in the NBA, you're branded for life. Your children are branded for life. And so it's a very welcome opportunity to have the NBA, at least for this generation that having the experience the BAL. Those of us that played basketball, if you ask, I mean, I'm not saying, Pops, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. But those of us that came up in the much earlier on, didn't have this opportunity at all to develop while in the continent, and then get ourselves even more prepared before we got to the States. A lot of us went to the States not having adequate preparation in terms of our development of our skills. And so we're kind of lacking behind, and so to our American counterparts, meaning that we had to work even harder to even be able to make it. And then, so you see us most of the time, we're like late bloomers. You know, most of the African players, they kind of reach their peak of their game much later than the American players. And that's all because we have not had that fundamental coaching at the early stage on the continent. And that's where I love what the NBA is doing with the BAL. And that's why I decided to also do what I'm doing here with the Organized Basketball Network. And social media, it plays a massive role. I mean, it just allows for content generation to be liberalized. You know, anybody now can set up their own online platforms. The NBA has a tremendous online and social media reach. You know, even players today have tremendous social media reach. I mean, I've been looking at people like LeBron James, who has over 80 million followers. I mean, most of these NBA players now have tremendous amount of following, and that also just exponentially increases the brand of the NBA. So the NBA may have millions of followers, and then each of their players has billions of followers. I mean, it just makes it even much more a global game for a global reach for them. And so social media plays a massive role.
Wow. And Tunde, just to stay, in line with this conversation, when you look at a country like Nigeria, Nigeria is like the sports powerhouse on the continent, incredible players over the years, of course, football cutting across athletics, track and field, basketball. You have 2 teams now, men and women, both going to Tokyo for the Olympics. When you look at sports development on the African continent, Tunde, do you feel that there's a way that sports can be merged with values? How can sports help communities to have the people, the young children, and also the old people to have values in the way that they behave in a normal life anyway?
Thank you. That's a very deep question, and I'm going to try to answer it as well as I can. I think you put your finger on a very important point. The thing about success in sports is that it builds, it basically, if you're successful in sports, you have passed certain tests: discipline, teamwork, respect for your teammates, respect for the audience. So if you're a professional sports person, it just immediately shows that you jumped all those hoops in your life to be successful. And it also makes you a role model for other people who want to be successful. Obinna said about African players having to play catch up. Imagine what amount of discipline, Pops and Obinna, people like that, because the usual story, they have to work 10 times as hard to achieve what they've achieved. And that means that they've laid a foundation for everybody that, listen, there's no shortcut to success. You have to sweat it, you have to earn it, you have to deserve it. And that's as much for the generation following as it is for the generation ahead. Because even when you look back, some of us who are older, you look back at some of what these young people have done in their fields, you admire them. And you use them as examples to other people to say, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. And by the way, no pain, no gain. If you don't put the effort in, you're not going to make it. I joke sometimes that when people say about the scammers, because Nigeria is also sometimes unfairly portrayed as the home base of scammers. But even a scam has to put work in. You can't just send an email and say, yeah, send me your money. You have to put some work in. So it really, success does not come easy. But with sports, it's the right kind of work you put in. Is that nobody in any field of sport has ever been successful by not waking up at a certain time to run. When they're running in the freezing cold, nobody sees them. When they're working out till midnight, nobody sees them. But it is a very fundamental part of who they are. And so, I really believe that sports builds a fantastic platform for dedication, integrity. And when I say integrity, nobody who's also played professional sports can cheat. You can't take supplements, you can't take extra boosters. You're tested all the time. So you really have to rely on what you put in, which is what you get out.
Mm-hmm. I'm coming to you, Pops.
Can I? Sorry to interrupt. Can I please piggyback on what Tunde said, because he said something.
It's actually, I'm coming there.
Okay.
The question is there. And while you, don't lose that thought, don't lose it. And while you're there, we just want to look at the best case scenarios for countries that have used sports as their primary soft power. If you can just stay on that line. For example, if you talk about Roger Milla, no one will ever forget that 1990 World Cup, in Italy. If you look at, for example, really cutting across, Caster Semenya in South Africa, huge face, for track and field, Usain Bolt. If you think about, just generally in Ghana, for example, Anthony Baffour, first Black player to play in the Bundesliga. No one can forget, facts like that. So yes, build your point going towards that direction, Pops.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what you're saying, also look at what Didier Drogba did. Look at what George Weah has done. Now he's the president of his country. We use figureheads like that, and it shows you how far sports can take somebody and can take a nation. I think nobody's really thinking about some of these African countries if we don't use a unifying entity like sports to raise awareness to it. Like in 2010, Ghana was, one of the African countries to go further than any other African country in the World Cup. Broke my heart that we lost in the penalty shootout. It still hurts to this day. But there's people who still come to me to this day, knowing about my Ghanaian heritage, and say, "Man, I feel for you guys. We was really rooting for you." Even from other African countries, it really, really touched me to know that other African countries were united. And speaking about unifying, that's what this Basketball Africa League does. It unifies us. It unifies us as a continent, because it's not called the Basketball Ghana League, the Basketball Nigeria League. It's the Basketball Africa League. I take pride in it, even though Ghana doesn't have a team yet. It makes me proud because there's a team from Nigeria, Rwanda, whatnot. I feel like I'm a part of every single one of those teams. So it's exciting to be a part of and unifying. I think in other aspects of life, whether it's economy, politics, and whatnot, we have to continually unite and work together, because the reason why, to Tunde's point, the reason why the Basketball Africa League has come about is because the world is taking notice. The world is taking notice that Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, I can name countless other players who are now considered some of the best players in the NBA, have come from African soil. They've come from African soil, and they know that there's more to come. Africa has the youngest population on the planet. So in a few years, we're going to be hearing more names like that. So now that the NBA and FIBA are investing in cultivating this talent, a lot of players are going to start developing earlier. So to Obinna's point, we won't have to worry about us blooming late, because I was one of those guys. I didn't grow up in Ghana, but growing up in London, I didn't start playing basketball until I was 13 or 14. So I knew I had to work twice as hard just to catch up. Now we have an opportunity to invest in these young players and these young boys and girls from a younger age, and help them cultivate and develop at a younger age, so that when they come into their own, they're not playing catch up, and they reach their ultimate goal a lot sooner.
It's interesting you talk about that, because now I'll bring in Victor. Victor, does the NBA Africa have a plan for game development, for schools, for facilities and programs on the continent? And also, what role do African governments have to play in ensuring that these opportunities mutually benefit the NBA and, of course, advance, sports and the continent in general?
Thank you very much, Usher. Look, we do have a plan, and again, to build off of what Pops was saying today, we have more than 50 players in the league who have, African heritage. So they either have come directly from the continent, or they have at least one parent who's born on the continent. And as of opening day this year, we had 14 players who had come directly from the continent, who were on league rosters. And in the last draft, 9 of the first 30 picks were African. They were, in fact, all either Nigerian or Nigerian heritage. So, when we look at that, and again, to the point that, Pops and Obinna have made, many of these young people, they're picking the game up late. They're starting to play basketball still at ages 13, 14, 15. And so you can see that they have potential, but there's a lot of work to be done to refine that potential. And so even with that, we're still able to record these statistics that I spoke about just now. And so we get really excited when we think about what's going to happen if we can get African youth, boys and girls, playing the game at ages 6, 7, 8, and being in good programs where they receive good coaching, They develop a good sense of fundamentals. They learn to compete at an early age. They begin to train their bodies properly. And that, when you start thinking about it like that, then, the sky's the limit for African basketball. So what are we looking to do? We're looking to significantly expand grassroots basketball on the continent. Today, we run a program called Junior NBA. It's works with kids ages 8 through 14. It's in 14 different countries on the continent. We think it can be present in many more countries. Again, we're still just scratching the surface. We have for example, in Nigeria, which is a hotbed of talent on the continent, we have a program that's very successful in Abuja, but high on our agenda is to build a program in Lagos and other cities in Nigeria where we can expand the game. We would love to see basketball in schools as part of the physical education curriculum, and that's where the discussions with governments come in. It's about getting those partnerships in place, those memorandums of understanding with the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, as it were, in various countries, to be able to bring basketball to kids at scale. And then finally, there's obviously a need for infrastructure. And so that's about developing courts and safe places to play. The need on this continent is so great that the NBA will do some of it, but then the NBA will need to partner with others. So, I'm going to plug Obinna, who's built a terrific facility in Lekki, which is doing exactly that. It's reaching out to kids at a young age. It's giving them a place to play and to get great coaching and to develop their skills. So the NBA is not going to do everything, but the NBA sure can partner with other motivated individuals who are also focused on growing the game at the grassroots.
First of all, I want to say that Pops did this fast, and you now, Victor, are trying to plug in another panelist. Are you trying to get me fired? Am I irrelevant in this conversation right now? My God. Because I was just going to ask Obinna the next question, and it's about schools. But before I say that, I hope this makes you smile, Victor. We have a player in Uganda called Fayed Bale. He's come through the NBA Junior League, and right now he's made it to the senior Uganda Silverbacks national team, playing in the AfroBasket qualifiers. So that's quite a success story you have there. Obinna, I'm just going to come straight to you right now as we speak. The CAF is the Confederation of African Football. The executive committee has arrived in Kigali. Tomorrow they have a meeting, and in that meeting will be the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, and alongside Arsene Wenger, who was the former Arsenal coach, currently working as the global chief of global development at FIFA, is here. Well, I see some Arsenal fans smiling.
I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm sorry. I'm a Tottenham fan.
Oh my God.
Oh wow. Pops is a man of great taste. I'm a Tottenham fan as well.
I'm a Tottenham fan.
Yes. Oh, nice, Pops.
It's volumes of my character.
Yeah, so they are here in town, and one of the issues they're going to discuss on the agenda is they're going to launch the Pan-African Schools Tournament. So when you talk about schools and basketball, for example, Obinna, I'm bringing you in on this one.
It's 20 hours.
Sorry about that. Where do you see the opportunity, to have the importance of sports in schools in terms of driving economic development, but also developing future leaders? Because not everyone is going to play in the NBA or in the BAL. But how can we use sports in that perspective at a school level, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10 years old, using sports in general, not just basketball, to develop better leaders, to develop better citizens?
Well, this is a very, very deep question. And so I'm going to start by saying that basketball or sports, and I speak about this, with parents now every day that come in here to register their children. And my kids, I have 4 kids, and my kids go to a school here called Meadowhall, and my oldest son was going to a school called Grange. And part of the reasons why I decided to build this facility and to actually decide that I needed to put all my efforts, all my attention into the development of basketball, and it's a sport that I know, at least going forward, was because I saw a huge gap when it comes to the implementation of sports at the grassroots level, at the secondary school level, which I think has caused over the last 20 years, a huge societal divide. I think we need to understand that, just to give an example, the 1994 World Cup, we had the Nigeria team, the Nwankwo Kanus and the rest of them. That team came from the secondary school programs, the federal government colleges, which I attended Federal Government College Port Harcourt. So I know that even at that time, I attended Federal Government College, there was a player called Ekezie that was drafted, actually was picked from my school at SS1, that is Form 4, to go play for the national team, to go try out for the national team. Ever since, I would say, the collapse of the federal government or the government's funded schools in Nigeria, we have seen, and the implementation of the private school system in Nigeria, we have seen a massive drop in the implementation of sports in Nigeria, meaning that a lot of these private schools that came up did not have the facilities to be able to organize, first of all, organize sports, and then also did not have the what I would say, the push or the wherewithal to be able to come together, to be able to implement sustainable and consistent sports leagues or high school leagues or tournaments or whatever it needs to be done, that the kids that in the schools or who are interested in playing sports could be organized and put in teams to be able to play on a consistent basis. So let me give you my own personal experience, what I decided. My son is turning 13 May 18th next week. My wife, I'm 6'10", my wife is 6'5". So I know for sure all my sons are going to be 7-footers. My daughter, I'm praying, will not get past 6'5", but it's a prayer. So for me, it was absolutely important that I needed to build this facility because the schools themselves didn't have them. And when Victor is talking about the junior NBA and the rest of the other programs, wonderful programs the NBA has, I knew that for that to be able to work, we need to build the facilities. And by building the facility here, which I did, and I'm sure that a lot more facilities are going to come up because I intend to build more. I'm going to employ my big brother and the rest of Tunde, Folawiyo, and the rest of them in Nigeria that have the means to do this, to understand that we need to build these facilities. And then once we build the facilities, then we can build the programs. Because without the facilities, we cannot build the programs. And let me give you one scary stat. In Nigeria, we have about 200 million people. Africa, over 1.1 billion people. Out of that 1.1 billion or say 200 million people, I would say about 65%, 70% of them are below the age of 25 or 30 at the max. Now, if we have a continent that is so young, and I would say, if you look at the entire world, I don't see any continent that has the kind of athletic ability that we have in Africa. Please, I ask anyone to challenge anyone to tell us one continent that can produce more athletes, like if we're ready to invest in them better than Africa. I'll give you another industry, and I'll talk about Obiasika here. I remember when I came back to Nigeria in 2007, one of the first people I met was Obiasika, and he was talking about how he wanted to develop young musicians at that time, with Storm Records and the rest of them. And I was just starting my company there in Waka now. And we all starting off, but we supported each other. He needed tickets to to some events. and stuff like that. And I will talk to the airlines. We always support each other. And today, look at where we are with the music industry. Today, what we're doing with these young athletes that are now global. Now, they're not even say we need to carry last. They're not even coming second. They're top of the charts every time they release music. Davido, Wizkid, Burna Boy, all of them. So I look at it and say, and then let me give you another scenario that happened last year when we had NSAS protests in Nigeria. And one day I was coming back home in the Chevron area here, those of us live in Lagos. And I had a bunch of kids, I got this guy, they had blocked the road, and I just stopped and I was watching. And I saw young people, graduates. These were not touts, these were not thugs. These were graduates on the road protesting about wanting a better life, wanting better opportunities. And I said to myself, we cannot just continue like this. And if all of us that watched NSAS protest saw millions of young people that I have never seen that mass of people in Nigeria or, come out at once. And for me, it just reemphasized the need to push forward in what I want to do. And I decided to just, fund this thing and just keep going. And hopefully, like Victor said, get everyone involved and get everyone excited and put together a sustainable plan that could obviously make it business, right? Because everything that has to work has to be sustainable in terms of business and being able to grow and create revenue streams and make it profitable. And I can tell you for sure that it will and can be done. And so that is where my entire focus is going to be going forward. And I'm really excited about it.
Wow, that was very deep. Thank you so much for that. Allow me to bring in Tunde. Tunde, since you're the billionaire in this conversation, we would like to know, as the private, in the private sector, how can we bring in, how can we interest, people like you and other billionaires on the African continent? Already we are seeing the Confederation of African Football is now being led by Dr. Patrice Motsepe, who is also a billionaire, from South Africa. But also I would like to address that you have Aliko Dangote, who was for a long time wanted to buy Arsenal as a football club. How can we, interest him, for example, to buy Enyimba? Would he be interested in buying a Nigerian club, or even generally any African club? Could be football, could be basketball, could be rugby. From that point of view, what do you think about that?
Well, I think, look, the first thing for anybody who's going to invest, if you're talking purely from investment, is return on investment. Okay, so assuming there's no sort of a feeling or being sentimental about it, it's about money. Okay, so you've got to take investors in two streams. One, those who do it for the passion and the love of it, and those who do it for the money. If you want to attract those who do it for the money, you've got to have a business model that, like you said before, is sustainable and profitable. Now, the truth is that where we are with our development, there's no organized or solid platform on which you can base a sensible investment that is going to make money in the short term. Somebody's got to build that ecosystem. And it's the selfless and passionate ones who actually invest without any sort of expectation of immediate return, who will build that platform. Then when that platform is solid, then you have the monetary type investors. We talk about, for example, if you look at the Premier League in England, everybody talks about, aside from the noise about the European Super League, most of the people who own clubs in the UK do not make money. They're rich benefactors who put money into the clubs and keep putting money in and put money in. I saw something recently which actually surprised me. For my sins, I'm a Manchester United fanatic. I didn't say supporter, fanatic. The owners of Manchester United are the only owners in the English Premier League who've taken money out of the club in the last 10 years. Fact. So if you think that with all the money that the Premiership is spilling with the television deals, with all these things, that none of the owners have taken money out in the last 10 years, then it tells you that they are doing it more for passion than for money. And based on that passion, they created an ecosystem that enables so many other. It's really strange that the agents are actually making more money than the owners. The agents who move players from club to club, right? And so the answer to your question is that there will be a lot more interest once those sort of pioneers who have decided to invest for the love of the sport and for the you know, I said something recently that it's not that we don't like to make money, but I think there's a new business imperative, which most investors in Africa will be very wise to adopt. And the concept is the concept of impact investing. It's not enough on our continent just to say, I put money in this to make this. If you can put money in this, develop people, develop your society, develop the indigent, and also make something, that's a much better win for you than just a straightforward linear, I put this in to make this. And that's why what Obinna has, for example, what Obinna has built here, his business model here is totally different from what he did for Wakana. It's here he's investing in people and investing in the development. And it is incumbent on all of us, particularly in Africa in general, but particularly in Nigeria, because that youth group that he's talking about is a ticking time bomb. And it is imperative on all of us to invest in facilities that will give them a way out to release the pressure. And once we convert them into useful members of society, we will create an even bigger platform than what we are thinking about, because they will not be able to use those skills that they've been allowed to develop other people. Finally, I'll say, if you look at, for example, the tech space, okay? You've talked about music, you've talked about tech space now, you've got the first Nigerian unicorn, if not the first African unicorn, which started 4 years ago, Flutterwave, okay? You've got Paystack that was sold to Stripe for $200 million. Again, started about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. The point is that when you see those guys too now, guess what's happening now? All those founders are now investing in VCs and bringing up other founders. So the ecosystem keeps getting bigger. When they started, it was as if it was only them and they didn't know where they were headed. But when these guys are now having valuations of $200 million, $1 billion, they are now putting money back into the space to develop other people. And, so hopefully the thing will keep moving, but somebody has to start it. And it can't be on a purely commercial return on investment basis. So, but I'm not the only one. There are a lot of us who are interested in this. There are a lot of people who are going to put their money where their mouth is, but we need more. We need more.
Wow. And staying with the words Super League, Pops, I'm going to bring you in on this one. Do you think that Africa needs an African Super League now that, we have the launch of the BAL just here around the corner on Sunday? I say that why? Because the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, spoke about this African Super League and to have about 20 clubs from across the continent in a locked kind of NBA situation where there's no relegation and there's no promotion. And each of these teams is expected to bring $20 million. Now, Tunde talks about there's no one is doing this, because they're making profit out of it. If you ask Patrice Motsepe at Mamelodi Sundowns, he's not making money. He's not breaking even, actually. If you look at TP Mazembe in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Moise Katumbi, he'll tell you he's just investing money. He's not taking some money out of it, But when you look at it from a long-term point of view, do you feel that Africa needs a Super League where you have 20 teams, and can it grow from a business point of view and actually get returns like what Tunde is talking about?
Needs, I wouldn't say necessarily. Will it benefit from one? I think so. I think looking at the Basketball Africa League, it's a similar model. You're able to implement some of the best teams from different countries and bring them together. You bring them together, and now you have all these different teams from different countries uniting and playing together. And I think that will allow for the different countries to combine when it comes to a continent-wide league like a super league. I think it benefits Africa more so than it would in Europe, because you have the UEFA Champions League and whatnot. And obviously, some of the masses did not want that to happen. As you can see, they're still protesting in the UK and whatnot about, even the thought of joining it. I think for Africa, as far as the resources are concerned, the investment and the return of investment, I really feel like it could help. It could help. And, Tunde may know a little bit more about, that investment side of things, and maybe from a business and economy standpoint, I really do think it could help. It could help because it wouldn't, I think I would say if Manchester United or even Arsenal, as much as I dislike them, if they were in the Champions League final, I would support. I would somewhat support, begrudgingly, I would support. But because it's a British team and a team that comes from the Premier League, I would support in that regard. And I think that the same would go for if they had teams like that in the African Super League. So I think they can only benefit from it. I don't think it's limiting in that sense. But I think if the structure is done right, if the business model is correct, I think it's a situation that could really help.
Yeah, now when we talk about growth and legacy, I'll bring you, Victor, in on this one. Are there any programs, to help national federations and national leagues? How can the BAL help them to grow their communities when you look at it in the long run? Or is it just this 1 month tournament in Kigali and then we pack our bags and go home?
No, of course not. I mean, the BAL is a long-term model. We've put a lot of resources into it. We've built a team and brought the full power of the NBA with the support of FIBA to make this a successful long-term project. So certainly as soon as we're done with season 1, which is, because of COVID, a 2-week tournament, we'll start thinking about season 2. And just for the people who are not familiar with it, the model for the BAL that we designed and which we want to go back to as quickly as possible is a caravan model where the season is played over 3 months. And during that time, we hold the games in various cities around the African continent. So this same set of games that is happening in Kigali, we would bring to Cairo and to Monastir and to Lagos and to back to Kigali and to Dakar. And that way, as we move the tournament around the continent, it will give many Africans the opportunity, maybe for the first time, to watch high-level basketball presented in a very attractive, engaging way. It will bring these African stars and players closer to their fans. It will create an opportunity for kids to meet with or come close to their heroes. And it will act as an inspiration to grow the entire basketball ecosystem. To your question in particular, one of the things we've done over the last 6 to 9 months is to begin that process of investing in the federations and in the teams. And so we held a series of seminars which were open to all the teams, the federation members from the various countries, coaches in the countries, and in each of those webinars, we brought together NBA talent to talk about specific elements of the game and how to operate at a high professional level. So for example, we had some of the NBA's best trainers do a session on what it means to prepare physically to play the game of basketball at the high level. We had some of our coaches talk about how they operate and run their teams. So In that session, we had, for example, Greg Popovich from the San Antonio Spurs and Steve Kerr from the Golden State Warriors do a session speaking to these coaches and players about how they run their teams. We had members of from the basketball side, or the business side of NBA teams talk about how they run their clubs as a business, so that our African colleagues could begin to understand that better. And we've had a set of sessions where we've had the NBA referee team provide coaching and training to the referees who you're going to see on the court at the BAL. They've all gone through extensive training. So we fully appreciate and we take it on that what we need to do here is grow the African basketball ecosystem by ensuring that there is a transfer of skills from what we're doing in the NBA, the G League, the W, etc., and making sure that those skills are transferred to the players and participants in the BAL.
Wow, well done. I'm bringing in Obinna. I just want to ask you a very straight question. From your perspective, what would be the African plan? Now, well, Africa has, more than 50 countries. We're talking about 54 as federations and as member associations, but 55 in general, if you will include Zanzibar. But these countries are all different. But let's take an example of, for example, Kenya, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Uganda that have managed to dominate long distance running. South Africa with rugby and cricket. You have to bring in some Zimbabwe and Namibia in there. What can the rest of the continent do to have at least areas, in sports where they specialize and actually make sure that they go all the way to the top, not doing everything a mediocre way, but specialize in something and be very good at it at a world level?
Yeah, so I'll speak specifically. I'll start with those fields that you mentioned, which is long distance running, which the East Africans have dominated, and it's been over years. So you can see that they have put in a lot of work, and they have a lot of developmental programs. I know I've watched a few times some of the documentaries on the preparations that the East African runners do take, and the fact that they have a very high altitude in that area. And I've been to Ethiopia once for a meeting, and I woke up in the morning, came out of my hotel, and I saw hundreds or even 1,000 people running on the streets. It was like amazing to me. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and everybody was running. And I was like, wow, these people are different. And so you can see it's part of their culture, it's part of their DNA. So I was like, nobody can run with these people. If everybody's running like this, then it's going to be very difficult. I've never seen anything like this in the world where everybody just gets out and wants to run. And if you look at rugby, what has happened in South Africa over the years, there's been a huge investment in rugby. And I think when they used the sport to unite the country, I remember that Rugby World Cup where Nelson Mandela, came out and the rest of it. So you can see how sports is used as a platform to make a huge impact when it comes to unifying people from different backgrounds and stuff like that. And I would speak to specifically to basketball, because I have you would imagine, I have a very big bias to basketball. I think that basketball is such a great sport that one could be played in your own home. I learned basketball in my home, like watching Akeem Olajuwon on satellite TV. I remember that I was very young, and my dad, installed in satellite TV in our home. That was the first time I watched an NBA game. And I picked up real interest in following Akeem, and then I watched Akeem on TV, and I asked my dad to buy me a hoop in the house, and then I'll go practice by myself because I didn't have a coach. I'll just watch Akeem and go try to emulate what Akeem was doing and my own home court. So for me, I think that one, I always look at myself as the experience. I look at what has happened to me in my life. I left back. I played at the highest level in basketball. I came over to business, and I was able to found a company that did pretty well over the years. We had to grow that company, and I learned a lot from business. And so I'm bringing a lot of that experience into what I'm doing now with the Organized Basketball Network. And the goal here is to create sustainable business models. And our big brother Tunde Folawiyo has mentioned something like this. I know for sure that to be able to attract investors, to be able to attract people like Tunde, I mean, Tunde has a passion for sport. I'm talking about other people that have this kind of huge resources into investing in basketball. You have to create sustainable revenue models. And I think the grassroots opportunity is very big, like I said, and I'm doing everything I can to be able to create those sustainable revenue and models that can make this a very profitable venture. And then obviously with the professional level, which is what the BAL is established to do, there's a lot of intrinsic value that's created from these franchises. And I would talk to, I'll ask maybe Victor later on, maybe what is the real business model for the BAL? Is it going to be thing that a lot of these teams that participate in these leagues need some kind of private involvement? And what is the model going forward? Are they going to be made into franchises or stuff like that? And because that would make it create a scenario where intrinsic value can be created for these teams, and then valuations can also be increased as the whole brand of the BAL and the rest of it continues to grow over the years. So that is the question that I think that we should also get to hear from Victor, and what are the plans in that area to create a model, a franchise model for the BAL.
Wow, that's incredible, Obinna, that you mentioned that. And as we wrap up, because I know we can stay here for 24 hours, I welcome you to Kigali. We can finish this over a cup of coffee, but for now, we're just going to try to wrap up. Pops, I'm coming to you. Post-COVID, post-COVID, this is a term that we're using these days. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but maybe at some time when, everyone is vaccinated and it's easy to travel, where do you see the continent of Africa, in terms of girls and women? Are there initiatives that can be implemented to make sure that we have more female sports leaders? And I ask you, because you have a sister who is the head of daily content at the Olympics, Mensah-Bonsu, if I am correct about that, who is doing an incredible job there. But how can we have more people like her? What will it take for the continent to have more female sports leaders?
I think you have to use Obinna's point. When he was young, he saw a figurehead and a role model, an example like Akeem Olajuwon, and that forever changed his life. Obinna is somebody who I looked up to as a kid. He played with my brother, and he made it to the NBA, so I used him as a mirror image and as a model, as somebody I could emulate and follow their path. Benny is the same way. I often tell her there's no room for failure because there's a little girl out there that's looking at you to succeed.
And that includes me, by the way. Tell her.
Oh, you look at her. Okay, well, I was going to use you as an example too. But so like similar to me getting on the executive side on the NBA, I don't think about failing. I only think about succeeding, because to succeed on this side of the game means there's going to be another player, another person who knows that there's opportunity for success on this side of the game, or a different avenue or a different area. So, I think moving forward, the Basketball Africa League is probably going to open up the women's side, as it should be. And, that's another question for Victor. And speaking of Victor, as soon as they announced it, how is that franchise model going to come about? Because I've already got the wheel spinning when it comes to a team in Ghana. So whatever we need, everything is in the process. So those questions are going to be coming to you too, from my end too, Vic. But yeah, I think we need more role models. We need more role models and opportunities to open up. But those role models are going to provide those opportunities with their success, with Benny's success at the Olympics and NBA Africa, and all the stuff that she's done on the broadcasting and marketing side. It's only going to empower more of the people who are making decisions to want to have African women in those positions. So I really feel like women like yourself, Usher, who can continue to be successful in their roles and show that women are just as good, if not better, in some of the stuff that they do. It would allow more people to have those opportunities. So I'm definitely excited about where the future is and where it's looking. And like we've each and every one of us have said, Africa has the youngest population on the planet, and in a few years we're going to be taking over the world. Just like what you see with the Basketball Africa League, there's a reason why it's here. So there's more to invest in the continent. We invest in the continent, we can cultivate it and then build it up, and then Africa is going to continue to be a world leader when it comes to sports and economy and business and whatnot. So I just think we have to continually invest it and have those figureheads and those role models being successful so other people can follow their path.
Awesome. Victor, so many people want to kill me if you do not answer these questions. Please save my life, please.
So, I'll pick up on 2 points. So first of all, on women, look, it's a key focus area for us back in March on International Women's Day. NBA Africa and the BAL announced a set of commitments around gender inclusion in a number of different ways. So we spoke about increasing the number of women and girls who take on roles in sport, both on the court and off the court. We talked about increasing access to STEM education for African girls to prepare them for a future technology-driven world. And then we talked about using our platform where within the BAL, we have lots of male players and male fans, using that as a platform for speaking out against gender-based violence. The issue of inclusion for women and girls is a key part of how we're thinking about operating on the continent. I think the great thing about many of our junior NBA programs today is that they're actually almost equally divided between boys and girls. And I think relative to other sports, one of the great things about basketball is that it's very inclusive from a gender perspective. And we will continue to push that across all of our activities. When will we have a Women's Basketball Africa League? Certainly it's something that we get asked a lot, and we will just continue to work and develop the game. And if we can get it to the point where we can, one day have a women's professional league on the continent, that would be a great place to be. But certainly we will continue to work to create opportunities for women and girls to play the sport, much more opportunities than we have today. The point around franchises, look, we get asked that question often. We thought that in order to get this league off the ground, that working within the existing club structures with FIBA was the fastest and best way to get started. One of the benefits of this model is that it gives opportunities to many, many clubs to play in the BAL. So the club champion from each country is not going to be the same champion every year, just like you see in the Champions League in Europe. And so any club from any African country has the opportunity to be a BAL club. And that we think is tremendous to grow the infrastructure. Over time, we will, I'm sure, have discussions with our partners at FIBA about a franchise model and what that could potentially look like, and evolve to that if we think that it makes sense. But for now, we're really pleased with the model. We think it's generating a lot of excitement, and it will evolve as we grow.
Wow, that is incredible, incredible depth. Allow me to conclude with Tunde, yes, billionaire, but also elder on this out of respect. I would like to really conclude by asking you where you feel that the continent of Africa is going.
It's frozen. Am I the only one she's frozen for?
I can hear you, but she's frozen.
Usher's frozen.
She's frozen.
Saved by the freeze.
I think you should.
I promise you, I didn't do that on purpose. It was not an elder move.
That's what some people have, you know.
It was not an elder village move. Just to.
you knew a dangerous question was coming.
Yeah.
Usher, are you back?
I'm back. I'm asking a question about technology and live streaming, and all of a sudden the internet decides to do its thing. Well done. Yeah,
so
but
can you
that's
repeat the question? Yeah.
Okay, yes. I'm just asking you where you see us as a continent. And
Sorry, you froze again.
I froze. Come on. Someone is sabotaging me. Okay, I'm back again. Tunde, the question is, how can we merge sports and technology and science in terms of development as a continent?
Definitely. Look, that's a very important question you've asked. First of all, you keep calling me a billionaire. In which currency, please? It might just be in naira. Okay, so
that's fine.
Be careful. Huh? No, but seriously, that's a very, very important question you've asked, and quite frankly, that was actually the beginning of my interaction with the NBA. In the sense that at some point in the last 8-9 years, as you might well know, I was very involved in the beginning of the GSM technology revolution in Nigeria. And of course, after 7-8 years of doing that, I quickly realized that there is going to be a serious convergence of entertainment, sports, music, etc. Definitely. And the key thing, and ask anybody who's spoken to me in the last 10 years, they will, on a serious level, they will tell you that my view was always that the key difference between Africa and the rest of the world is that our entertainment and sports, etc., will be consumed on these things. Everybody else in the world had laptops, television sets, all those plasma TVs, whatever, slimline TVs. But in Africa, the major mode of consumption is the mobile phone. So you are talking about something that we've also seen evolve over the last few years, where content is king. And the beauty of content, the way we are trying to create it here, also is that it can be delivered in bite-sized chunks. So you see, what is TikTok all about? What are Instagram stories all about? It's that you do not have to sit and watch a whole, even on YouTube, you can slice and dice your presentations on YouTube. So the clear thing is that for the growing population of Africa, what we're seeing and what everybody else is seeing is the fact that you need to be able to deliver content to them on a gadget that they're used to, a gadget that that's accessible to them, that's affordable to them, and also that keeps their attention. I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but the truth is that how do you keep the attention of the kids of these days? Because their timelines are buzzing every second. It's Twitter, it's this, it's that. So to get them to sit down and watch anything of any length, you're going to have to really engage them. So the only way you can entice them is by slicing it up, drawing them in with the 2-minute or 3-minute version, and then catching their attention and then letting them now transform to the elongated version. But the truth is that technology is the driver. And that technology here, streaming on your mobile handsets, is the driver. And what we need to do in Africa is exactly what we are seeing happen now, which is to strengthen that infrastructure to be able to deliver that content seamlessly. We're frustrated. We sort of discouraged sometimes by the things that have happened here. But being an elder, let me tell you that I remember a time not too long ago, and Obinna might remember also, and it's not too far away, 1999, where if you left Lagos, there were, first of all, 250,000 mobile phones in Nigeria. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 250,000 landlines in Nigeria, the whole of Nigeria. At that time, we were 98 million people or 110. 250,000 landlines. No mobile phones to speak of. If I left Lagos to go to Abuja, I would have to ask the carrier. And those of us who had those phones were actually the equivalent of $2,000, the mobile phones that existed. And I would have to ask the carrier to roam me to Abuja, i.e. there was no automatic roaming. And if I forgot to roam my phone to Abuja, leaving Lagos, I was incommunicado. I would have to sit in my hotel room and wait for phone calls to come. Seriously. And that was 20 years ago. At least most of us here were born 20 years ago. So we've come on in leaps and bounds. There's a long way to go, but let's not also disparage what we've managed to achieve. And what happened in that instance was the GSM technology allowed us to make a quantum leap. If you had to wire up Nigeria or many African countries using the old technology of copper wire lines for landlines, it would take you 50 years. GSM made that leap in literally 5 years. So the point I'm making to conclude is that technology, innovation. Where we're going, those of us sitting on this call today, can't even see it. But we'll look back in 10 years' time and say, my goodness, that was just the tip of the iceberg, what we were trying to do. I promise you, it's just something that you look back and say, even those of you who are younger, compare your Blockbuster days with your Netflix days. Not too long ago. Mm-hmm. And today you have kids almost wanting to kill you because there's a little break in the transmission of their cartoons, right?
Yeah.
So that is exactly what is going to happen. You're going to have technology drive that change. And we just need to be a little bit patient sometimes as well when we complain, because we really have come a long way, but there's a much longer way to go. But technology will make that journey shorter. So where it takes you 5 years to make where it took you 5 years to make a quantum leap before, it might take you 2 to 3 years to make a quantum leap. So have faith.
Wow, that was very deep. I just want to read a quick comment here in the message slot, and someone is saying that Tunde, look up NBA Top Shot. That is exactly what you're talking about. Highlights being diced and spliced and whatever that is, diced and sold on phones through the NBA. Just on the phone. Someone is selling you highlights, and if you can pay $1, $2 for that, the NBA, the product, is making money. And just to say, conclude on that, you all know about Starlink that Elon Musk is working on, where you have a satellite internet connection, and that will save us all of this, that was happening earlier. And that's the importance of technology generally.
By the way, also, it's not just Elon Musk. It's Facebook. It's Google. They're all working on blanketing Africa with the connectivity.
Yes, and for some brands that I will not mention that have been making us suffer on this continent, we'll be done with them in a minute.
I don't know who those guys are.
Nope, I won't say anything. Okay, allow me to say thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. I know you're very busy people. Pops, I know you're coming to Kigali. Victor is somewhere quarantined, but I'm sure he'll come out in a few hours. Tunde, Obinna, thank you so much for making this happen, sparing your time and contributing really to a better Africa. And thank you so much to the Africa Soft Power Project. Nkiru, you're incredible. Thank you so much for giving us this platform where we can share ideas. And I've already gotten so much feedback on my phone. It's literally buzzing and saying, can we have more of this? Can it be longer? Can it be more often, not just after 12 months? So Kiru, over to you. Save us.
Thank you, Usher. That was incredible. You guys are this was a phenomenal session for us. Obinna, Pops, TF, Victor, it was incredible to have you guys speak. I remember going to secondary school in Nigeria, and I used to get punished a lot because I was supposedly a rude junior, and they'll make you kneel down with your hands up. And now I know that was Pilates and yoga, right? So, I mean, so the point about sports in schools is very important because it sort of strengthened the character, strengthened who we are. So this is a phenomenal conversation. This is Obi's passion. So I'm going to hand over to him to just say some closing words. But thank you, everybody. This was a great session. Usher, you're incredible. And we need more women. Actually, before the point that Pops, you were making about women and violence and Victor, you were making that point. We actually need your voices. This is a serious issue for women. So we need more men speaking about this. So I'm really, I sort of urge you guys to come on board with that particular topic. I had to say that. So please, Victor, we need your voice on this. Stop violence against women. Really important. And everybody who has a sister or mother or daughter, very important for us to have your voices on this topic. So I'll reach out to all of you on this particular topic. Obi, over to you.
And there's nothing to say. I'm just really happy that we got everybody together on the panel. Congratulations, Victor. Good luck with the BAL launch tomorrow. Usher as well. My chairman, thank you for doing us the honor. Obinna, it'll be an academy. We're so excited about that. Pops, I know you're flying into Africa tomorrow, so have a safe trip home. And for me, if we just keep this energy going, build more transparent platforms, I think it was Obinna that said it. I mean, Africa is actually the dominant athletic continent in the world. And if we could convert that physicality that we have and put some of this business knowledge behind it that was on this panel, maybe we have a great future. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Bye. Thanks, Usher.
Bye-bye.
Bye.